stadium, all Polish people, 20,000 of them came to see me. We raised money for the Polish Alliance, and Mayor Daley came that night, and I had him sing a little bit of "The Moja Droga Jaceko," and he sang it pretty good for an Irishman. The next day, when he had his press conference, he was supposed to have been at a meeting with the King of Sweden, and he didn't show up. I mean, it was really an insult to Sweden, and the press and the media love to jump on things like this. And I said, why weren't you with the King of Sweden? He came especially to be with you to Chicago, and you didn't show up. I mean, that's unheard of. He says, well, I was with Bobby Vinton, the Polish prince, because there's a lot more Polish people in Chicago than there are Swedish. I don't know. But it hit the front page of the Chicago Tribune. I remember that next morning I was leaving town. I happened to look at the airport at the counter, and there it said real big, on the front page of the Chicago Tribune, Bobby Vinton, Polish prince, proclaimed by Mayor Daley. And it stayed with me all these years.
I had this fabulous experience.
Play it, it wasn't that good of a record. I was in New York, I'm walking down the street, tried everything, tried payola, tried gifts, anything that would get somebody to play the record, they wouldn't do it. I walked past St. Patrick's Cathedral. There was a light shining through it with a leaded glass window and a colored glass in the window, and it hit me like you'd see in the movies that I should go in. I came in and I said, you know, I tried everything, but I never really prayed and asked God for a hit record. Let me try that. I mean, it's the simplest things. We've been friends a long time. Walked in, there were candles lit everywhere for all the different saints. I looked at one saint, Saint Espanol. Never forget this. No candles lit. I lit a candle and I says, look, Saint Espanol, could you help me get a hit record? Roses Are Red. I know I'm not the world's greatest singer, but make it a hit. What does it matter to you? What's another miracle? And I prayed. I lit candles. And the record went to #1. It sounded better than it ever sounded. On a radio, I says, that's me singing? That's the record we recorded? And I did this for many of my hit records. I went back for Blue Velvet. Could you make Blue Velvet a hit? Saint Espanol, lit candles. Mr. Lonely, could you make me another #1 record? For 10 years, I did this. And I sold millions and millions of records. I had #1 records you couldn't believe. And after 10 years, I says, you know, I'm not going to ask you anymore. I mean, enough's enough. How many times can you go back to a friend and ask a friend for a favor? So I'm not asking you anymore. 2 months later, the record company dropped me. They says, it's over with for you. You don't sell records anymore. I didn't sell records. Nobody wanted me. The record company was over with. That's when I wrote and recorded Melody of Love. So I'm back in New York again, and once again, nobody wants Melody of Love. 7 record companies turned me down, and I'm walking past St. Patrick's Cathedral, and I says, hey, I know I told you I'd never come back because enough's enough, but how about one more, huh? And I looked at Saint Espanol and I said, this one's going to be a little tough for you because it's half Polish. Not only are you trying to bring Bobby Vinton back onto the rock scene with contemporary music with a regular song, but I put Polish words to it. I could feel the saint going, oh. Anyway, I says, please, I mean, see what you can do. And I promise you I won't come back and ask again. Boom. 2 months later, Melody of Love, #1 record in America. I says, I can't believe this. Is this a miracle? Is this? I don't even talk about it this much because 90% of people out there won't even believe me, so why talk about it? So I says, look, I have to go back and thank Saint Espanola one more time, and that's it. I go back there and I look, statue's gone. I says, where's the statue at? And there was a couple of workmen working, and he says, what statue? I said, there's Saint Espanol statue that's been there for 10 years. He said, there's never been a statue there. I says, come on now, I mean, you put me on. He says, no, there's never, they said, what's the name of the saint? I said, Saint Espanol. I says, I remember it well because I was hoping that it was Saint Stanislaus, because Stanley's my real name, and so I always used to pray to Saint Stanislaus. But there was a Saint Espanol, nobody was there at the time, so I says, I don't understand. He says, look, we don't believe there's ever has been a Saint Espanol. We don't think there was ever a statue there, and we don't know what you're talking about. And boy, at the time, I says, is this some kind of miracle from God? But that was my career. I sold millions of records. I prayed to that saint, even for a Polish song. And when that Polish song became a hit again, I became very popular again. I start playing all the places in the casinos. I have my own theater today as a result of Saint Espanol and a Polish record.